So, I was listening to you too, and I so appreciate you waiting for me, right? And I was just like thinking, you know what, you know everything about the book except that there are some things that it doesn't say right away. And one of the things good readers do is they read between the lines, right? Because there are secrets in those pages that they hint at, but they never tell you, right? It's just like in poetry, right? Like I was reading this, A Cool Drink of Water, right? It's one of my favorite poems. And it says, somewhere, right now, someone is drinking water, scooped from the river, drawn from a well, caught as it drips from the roof, from fountains, from pumps, straight from the tap, a cool drink of water. And you know what? At first I read this poem, I've read this poem 20 times. At first I read this poem and I was just thinking, this is so stupid, like she's drinking water, who cares, right? But then what I realized was, this author is telling us where we can get water from, right? So if someone's thirsty, it's giving us hints of all the places she could drink water.
Multiple examples.
That's it, multiple examples. And sometimes when we read this, like we don't pay attention to all those little clues that we just paid attention to in poetry. Did you see that? Right? And we skip right over it. You guys help me with this part. It says, stored in the shade in cool clay pots, chilled in a pitcher of ice, in buckets, brass pots, plastic jugs, caravan cans, a cool drink of water, squeezed from a bottle, a burlap bag. What's it telling me?
More examples of where you can get water.
Okay, but what is it also telling me? That was brilliant. What's it not telling me, but it's telling me? Listen to it again. You ready? It's like you gotta play a game on Nintendo Switch, and you gotta figure out which way really to go, right? So it says, stored in the shade in cool clay pots, chilled in a pitcher of ice, in buckets, brass pots, plastic jugs, caravan cans. What's it really talking about?
It's talking about something else.
What is it talking about? It's talking about water, right? But what is it telling you?
It's telling you where it's sometimes where it's put.
Where it's put in a pitcher, exactly. And sometimes, did you see it took us twice to get that? And sometimes one of the things that we have to do is put those clues together, right? So I think we could do that in books too, don't you? Right? What about you? Do you think so? And I think one of the things that we're not doing is we're not putting the clues together. We're just reading the words and just getting the little gist of it. So what I'd like you guys to do is I want you to find your clues. What's it not saying? Right? Can I borrow your book a minute? I happen to know this book. So I'm sorry. So it says here, right? But the bag reeked because there was half-eaten ham sandwich in there, which had something growing out of it. I was a little worried about the food situation in camp, and I was tempted to try and sneak a few candy bars in, but I wasn't sure what the penalty of it was if you got caught. So I decided to just hide them in my sock drawer so nobody would eat them while I was gone. I wasn't willing to take any risks when it came to my comfort, though. And I'm thinking, like, what's it not saying? Like, he was hungry, he needed food, but what's it not saying?
Wasn't eating it.
He wasn't eating it. Why? Why?
He didn't want to get caught.
Is it that he didn't get caught? So why did it say here, but the bag was, look at me, but the bag reeked because there was half-eaten ham sandwich in there, which had something growing out of it. What's the author trying to tell you?
Something wrong.
Something was wrong with the sandwich, right? It was rotten, and that's why he's not eating it. So in his attempt to eat, he made his whole room smell, and something was wrong with the sandwich, right? Do you see how the author hinted at it? He never said it, right? What I want you guys to do is, I don't know if you have small Post-its. I forgot to bring small Post-its with me. I'm sorry to bother you. But what I want you to do is put a Post-it on places where the author doesn't really tell you what he wants you to think, but he hints towards it and makes you think about it, right? Just like I just did when it comes to this. And what I'd like you to do is maybe go back a little bit from here and see, what did I miss? Okay? Do you see how I'm putting Post-its by places? That makes me think. It's not what it says, it's more to it, right? Do you guys think you could do that? Okay. Can you try that where you are and just see, is there a place you already know that made you think more than what it actually said. Can you find that spot? Did you find a spot? Can you read it out loud to me?